Hello dear students, please enjoy this video. If you like, you can like comment that you liked it, and अगर उसमें कुछ questions हैं आपके तो आप वो comments में पूछ सकते हैं. I hope you all are fine and you all are studying and preparing quite well. Thank you so much.
So today's chapter is about locomotion and movement, and we are going to discuss about the introduction here. So we are having different points. Let's take a view of what we are going to accomplish. Fine. So it will be in several steps, several points. Fine. So there will be the first point, there will be second point talking about what is movement and how it is a significant feature. Then we will start by taking examples from very unicellular organisms. Fine. In the third, we will discuss about different kind of movements and the apparatus which we use, other organisms use, and then we will talk about human. In fifth point, we will discuss about the locomotion. In sixth point, we will discuss about how locomotion and movement are interrelated. And then in seventh point, we will discuss that why is it so that we cannot study them separately. And in eighth, what is the interlinking between the two, that we will discuss about. And in the ninth point, we will be discussing about locomotion by animals. And ultimately in the 10th point, we will discuss that what the locomotion is generally done for. Okay, so let's start from the first point, that is the first point of introduction of this chapter according to NCERT. And it says that all living beings are having significant features. Significant features means important features that makes them distinguished from the non-living one. Okay, so there are so many significant features. Okay, for example, if we want to have the examples of the significant or important features, so these are the consciousness. Okay, we are aware of what is happening around us and we are able to respond accordingly. Then we grow. Okay, there is growth in our body. We can reproduce. For continuity of the species, we can reproduce. Okay, we can breathe. Okay, we can breathe. That includes the movement. That includes the movement of gases. Okay, in and out of the body. We can digest, we can circulate, we can excrete, so many other physiological etc. Other physiological activities are there. Physiological processes are there. Okay, so these are the significant features, and movement is one of those significant features. Okay, so movement is exactly what we call it as movement. Fine. Movement is what? Movement, we can say that movement is disturbance. It is a disturbance or it is a change in position of any structure, any object. Fine. So if there is a change in position of any object, then that will be the movement. We are moving our tongue while speaking, we are using our lips while speaking. Okay, while eating, we are using our mouth, our jaw. Fine. While lifting any particular object, we use our limbs. So that is the movement. Fine. So disturbance or change in position of any object is considered as movement. So this movement is one of the significant, very many significant features of the living being. So now the question is there that do plants also exhibit movement? Yeah, NCERT clearly says that animals as well as plants are having this property of movement. And not in this chapter we will discuss about plant, we will discuss about animals mainly in this chapter. Okay, there is an entirely dedicated chapter in plant physiology, that is plant growth and movement. In that chapter the movement related to plants are discussed. Okay, so this was the first point, that all living beings are having many significant features, important features, like we took the examples. and after that we discuss that movement is one of them. Then what is the movement that we discuss? That change in the position of any object generally when we overall talk. Okay, here we can say any cell, any part or any organ of the body. Okay, then it will be considered as movement. Fine. Cell, part, organ, or the part of cell. Okay, like cilia are present on the cell, flagella are present on the cell, microvilli are present on the cell. So their change in position will also be considered as the movement. And if the cell is moving from one place to another, it is also, we can say that cells are moving. Okay, cells are changing their position. So moving on to the second point. So second point, we are going to discuss that movement is not just the property of a multicellular organism. Okay, we can write here that movement is not only found in multicellulars, okay na, it is also found in the unicellular organisms. And very common example of this unicellular organism, we can take it as amoeba. And amoeba possess pseudopodia. All of you must know that, I'm sure that you know that amoeba is having false feet-like structure known as pseudopodia. So these pseudopodia are formed as a result of protoplasmic streaming, that is the movement of the cytoplasm, the fluid, ectoplasm, endoplasm. Fine, the fluid that is present in the cell of amoeba, okay, in the body of amoeba. So those fluid are having actually the movement properties, streaming movement. These are known as streaming movement. Okay, and since its protoplasm is streaming, fine, that is cytoplasm plus nucleus, so that's why we can call it as protoplasmic streaming. Fine. However, it is a very simple kind of movement. We are not talking about the movement of amoeba here. We are talking about the movement of the protoplasm. Okay na, very simple form of movement. However, it result into formation of pseudopodia, and amoeba can capture the food. It can go from one place to another place, that is known as the locomotion. Okay, so that is being given by the ultimately the protoplasmic streaming, this property of formation and disappearance of pseudopodia. Okay, so when we talk about movement, it's not just that it is present only in the multicellulars. No, it is also present in the unicellular organisms. Fine. So what is movement? Fine. How it is significant feature, how it is one of the significant feature, what are the other significant features we can talk about, and then movement is present in the unicellular organisms also. These 2 points we have discussed in this first page. Okay, I hope it is clear to you. And now we are going towards the third point. Third point talks about the different apparatus of movement. Fine. Many organisms, it says many organisms perform movement of cilia, movement of flagella, and movement of tentacles. Fine now, that's what we were discussing over here, that it's not just like it's a loose definition. It is having many things in it. Okay now, so that's why I have given some examples here, that cell, part, organ, fine, or entire organism. If we are sitting and we are going to sit at any other place, so it is the movement of body, it will be considered as movement of body, which is actually locomotion. We will talk very soon about it. So cilia, flagella, and microvilli, these are the parts of cells. So if they are moving, so if they are changing the shape or changing the their position, their orientation, so it will also be considered as movement. So here we are having this point mainly over here. So many organisms perform the movement of cilia. For example, you know that we are having the paramecium. No, we are having the paramecium, and paramecium is having the presence of cilia all over its body. Okay na, it is having the presence of cilia all over its body. So these cilia actually move, na. So the movement of cilia is there, and the chapter is animal tissue. So in the animal tissue chapter, we are having the ciliated epithelium also. No, ciliated epithelium. Fine. So cilia moves. Okay, and the entire body can move with the help of cilia. Entire body can also move with the help of cilia. Flagella is there, like bacteria is there. So in bacteria, flagella is there. Okay, in the sperm, flagella is there. Okay, we are having the sperm. So whether we talk about the movement of sperm or movement of bacteria, they use flagella for their movement. So many organisms, they are saying that unicellular as well as multicellular organisms are having the capacity to perform the movement via different apparatus. Okay, we are talking about animal tissue, it means we are talking about multicellular organisms. However, in the unicellular also cilia is present, moving, and here flagella is moving. Okay, we are having sponges where the uniflagellated cells are present, which are known as what? Coenocytes. Otherwise, sperm and bacteria are having this flagella for movement. And then let's talk about the tentacles. Tentacles, which organism should be in your mind, in our mind? That is hydra. Hydra perform the movement of tentacles. Okay, now, or in the Coelenterata we are having the movement of tentacles. So here we are having a little bit more explanation or with respect to movement, that many organisms perform the movement of cilia, flagella and tentacles. Okay, so these are the apparatus through which the movement takes place usually in many organisms. How can we avoid ourselves? Definitely we are going to talk about humans. So they move limbs, they move eyelids, they move jaw, they can move tongue, etc. So with respect to these survival strategies, we are having the capacity to move the body parts. For example, limbs, if we are moving the limbs, it may result into the walking, running, climbing, flying, swimming, or we can move our limb in order to grab any object or hold any object. Hold the glass of water, or I'm holding the pen right now in my hand, and I'm able to move that, fine, in order to write. And eyelids blinking movement of eyelids. Jaws, we are speaking. If we are speaking, we are chewing the food, okay, etc. And then tongue, definitely in the mastication, tongue helps in mixing of food with saliva, and tongue also help in speaking. Okay, so like this, humans are having the capacity to move different body parts for different significant purposes. Next is the fifth point, which talks that if movement result in a change of place, I'm not saying that change of just posture or position, but completely place or location is changed, beta, fine, then it will be considered as locomotion. So what is locomotion? The movement that result in a change of place or location. Okay, the movement that result in a change of place or location is known as locomotion, and it is definitely a voluntary movement. It's a voluntary movement. We want to go there or not, it's entirely depends on our will. Okay, anywhere if we want to go, we can go, otherwise not. So it is voluntary movement at our will, fine. Okay, good. Now we are having the examples, which are very simple examples of locomotion: walking, running, climbing, flying, swimming. These are the very common examples of locomotion. So fifth point talks about locomotion. Now, since we have discussed movement and we have discussed the definition of locomotion, so by that, in a conclusive point of view, we can say that locomotory structures need not to be different from those affecting other types of movements. Okay, so we need to understand this now, that if we talk about paramecium, then we got cilia over here. Okay, and the cilia are helping in the movement of food through cytopharynx. Cytopharynx is a part that is present in the body of paramecium, and we are having the continuity of cilia. I'm not drawing cilia all over the place, but it is understood very well that it is present. So this cytopharynx is having, this is the cytopharynx, and this is the gullet. So via gullet whatever food particles are present in the inflow of water, okay, that will go up to here, and then there will be formation of a vesicle and further things will take place. We are not going into that, but yeah, definitely that movement of food through cytopharynx is guided via the cilia which are present all around the gullet, okay. And we have not to forget that these are the cilia only with the help of which the entire paramecium locomote. Fine. Similarly, hydra is having tentacles, okay. Now hydra is having tentacles, and these tentacles are being used for capturing of prey. Fine. Capturing of the food, as well as they are being used in locomotion, okay. So we can say that locomotory organ, that here tentacle, need not to be different, which are performing other movement, that is capturing of prey, okay. And cilia, which is helping in locomotion, need not to be different like any other structure is not hard and fast that it should be present apart from cilia to move any other things, because cilia is involved in locomotion. It is not necessary. Fine. So here we are talking about this statements explanation, that locomotor structure need not to be different from those affecting other type of movement movement of food through cytopharynx. The same apparatus cilia is helping in locomotion. Capturing of prey, other type of movement is required via tentacle, however tentacles are helping in locomotion as well. Fine. So here we can say that yeah, it is very true and very good conclusive point, that locomotory structure need not to be different from those affecting other type of movement. Fine. Okay ji. So I hope you understood all the 6 point. Moving towards the 7th, which says that's why means it is linked with this 6th point, that locomotor structure need not to be different from the structure which are involved in movement. So that's why the movement and locomotion cannot be studied separately. Okay, cannot be studied. NCERT says cannot be studied separately. We can study them separately, but like when we are discussing about movement of jaw is not going to get our place changed from one place to another. So definitely movement and locomotion practically can be studied separately, but we have to look into what NCERT intend to say, what is the intention with respect to the previous point, like the 6th point, okay now. So from that point of view, if we will say, then definitely we can say that yeah, they cannot be studied separately, because if you are talking about the movement of leg during our walking, we are walking, okay, and during walking movement during walking process we are moving our legs, okay, and with the help of this we are actually performing locomotion. So how you are going to study them separately? It's not possible. So from that point of view, NCERT says that yeah, movement and locomotion cannot be studied separately. Fine. Next point, both may be linked by stating. Both means movement and locomotion. Okay, movement and locomotion can be linked by stating that all locomotion are movement, but all movements are not locomotion. All locomotion are movement, but all movements are not locomotion. Why? Because if I'm moving my hand in order to write. Fine. I'm not going anywhere because of that. I'm not going anywhere right now. I'm not being displaced from my actual position because I'm using my hands for writing. Fine now. So that's why we can say that all movements are not locomotion. Okay. However, in any kind of locomotion, for example, here, yeah, for example, if we are walking, we are moving our legs. If we are running, we are moving our legs. If we are climbing, definitely we are moving our legs. Okay, if you like mountain climbing adventure is there, then hands and legs both we are using. So movement is involved in all the kind of locomotion. Flying, okay, birds are flying, so 4 limbs are being used, 4 limbs are moving, that's why the bird can fly. Swimming, Okay, definitely all these things are actually involved, having the involvement of movement. Fine, so locomotion cannot be there without movement, but movement, like I'm using my hands for writing, okay, there is no locomotion. So it is not hard and fast that if movement is there, locomotion will be there, but it is hard and fast that if there will be locomotion, then definitely there will be movement. Fine. So I hope the points up to this eighth point, up to this everything is clear. Now ninth and 10th, two more points we have to talk about. So ninth point says that locomotion by animals are being performed by different methods. There are different methods through which the locomotion is performed by animals, and these methods are not same always. They are not same always, they vary. It means they are different, but how they are different, like on which factors they depend, that they will differ from each other. Actually, with respect to habitat, you know, where the organism lives. Okay, so if they are aquatic, so definitely the locomotion will be swimming. Okay na? If they are terrestrial, so there will be the other type, like there will be walking, there will be running, okay, there will be climbing on trees or mountains, etc., like that. So habitat, it is decided with respect to habitat that the locomotion will vary or not. Okay, all the aquatic organisms, they are not like one is swimming, other is walking, all are swimming. Fine na? And next is the demand of the situation. It means if post dinner, okay, post dinner we are doing what, we are doing walking. Okay, but if the demand of situation changes, we want to work out, or we are talking about a competition of like sprint. Fine na? We will what, we will run. Fine na? So same organism is walking at one place, running at other place. Okay, so it depends what is the demand of the situation. Fine. So habitat and the demand of situation is involved with respect to use of the method by locomotion by any animal. Fine. So last point, locomotion is generally done for, it can be done for search of food. Okay, search of food, like the predators are moving across different terrain, different area, different fields in order to search for the prey. Okay, shelter. Okay, shelter, it means like a good habitat, good favorable habitat. They are searching for, the animals are searching for the good habitats, favorable habitat, safe habitat. Searching for the mate, that is for reproduction. Okay, for reproduction, different type of strategies are used, different type of signals are left on their track in order to leave a trail for the other partner. Okay, so locomotion is done in order to search for food, shelter or mate, and then suitable breeding ground where they should reproduce, and they should like egg laying, we can say, egg laying, or giving birth to, like viviparity. Okay, giving birth to young one. A safe side is like searched for egg laying and viviparity, or young one has to be taken birth. So locomotion is the only way through which the organism will roam around, and the organism will search for the suitable breeding ground, and then the further process will take place. Favorable climatic conditions, many times like there is heavy rain, so there is scorching, there's scorching summer, there is very hot summer. Okay, so favorable climatic condition is there, where the animal will search for the normal grounds where the favorable climatic condition is there. And here migratory birds are very good example. Okay, they migrate across the globe actually many times that favorable climatic conditions should be available for that purpose to escape from enemies and predator. Definitely it is very obvious kind of point that many times in the discovery or whatever you have must seen that the deer is being chased by the tiger or leopard like that. Fine. So to escape from enemies or predator also the locomotion is used. So search of food, NCERT is saying 6 points regarding that: search of food, shelter, mate, suitable breeding ground, favorable climatic condition, and to escape from enemies and predators. So these were the 10 points of the introduction, and we are done with respect to introduction in this chapter now. Okay, let's have a quick review what we have done today. Locomotion and movement introduction, we have discussed living beings are having significant feature. Movement is one of them, and it is exhibited by plants as well as animals. Fine. What is movement definition we have done. Then it is not hard and fast that it is exhibited by multicellulars only, it is present in the unicellular organisms as well. Fine. We took example of amoeba and talked about protoplasmic streaming. Third, many organisms perform movement by the use of cilia, flagella, and tentacles we discussed about. Then humans can move different body parts because of different processes and requirements. And then if movement result in change in place or location, then it is considered as locomotion. Examples we discussed, and we are saying now that we cannot say that if any particular organ is being used for locomotion, that organ cannot be used for movement. Okay, same organ can be used for movement and locomotion. We took example of cilia in case of paramecium, tentacles in case of hydra, and then we said that they cannot be studied separately, and we took example of walking. Then in 8th point we are saying that they cannot be studied separately, so we can say that they may be linked by stating that all locomotion include movement, but all movements are not leading to locomotion. Then in the ninth point, second last point, we discussed that methods of locomotion by animals can vary depending on habitat and the demand of situation. And in the 10th we studied that locomotion is generally done for these 6 points. Fine. And thank you so much. If you like the lecture, you can tell me in the comments. You can ask for the further topic of your interest, and I will get back with that. Okay, thank you so much.